Hey everybody, what's going on? Glenn Monroe here, Roman Gnome Society, or the circle of the people who love, the wilderness and tranquility. We're going to go over the sewing all, and this is one of the tools of the trade. I mean, if you're going to actually try to, keep cover on you, and you don't want to use tape and all that other stuff. Traditional tailoring, which is a part of smithing, by the way. Smiths and tailors usually have a long history of relationship together. In fact, I think tailors are actually in charge of one of the most famous smith companies in the world. I'm not talking about weapons, I'm talking about tools. And they're probably expensive, and most people think they're outdated and they don't apply to our situation. But a sewing awl is a pretty useful tool because, especially this one, I've used this one several times, and I think it's a useful item that you could carry around in your pack. I mean, it's self-contained. You have your thread material in here. It will use paracord. You can run paracord through this, like I've showed you yesterday when I was trying to repair my the assault pack that I found. That I usually go and get out of the merchandisers, the Marine Corps merchandisers, or the Army merchandisers wannabe dumpster. And I think this item right here is probably one of the better items to carry with you because it actually contains threading. It will handle multiple different gauges of thread. You can use dental floss in this. You can make plarn, which is plastic bags twisted up and string, which is similar to what you see here if you know how to do it correctly. And I'll probably cover something pertaining to that later on. But this tool right here has been very useful and very helpful in my endeavors. I've made packs out of this. I've sewed and stitched up shoes for people, including myself. Packs, bags. I've even used this with a extended piece on it with a little bit of a wire on the end with a loop, and it's held line. I've also used this for fishing. So that's kind of crazy to do it like that. And like I said, you just pull this thumbtack back this way and automatically you have tension. So you can pull. So to me, in, like I said, my experience, this is actually a multi-tool. You can use it for fishing. You can use it for sewing. You can use it for, like I said, just storing your awl and your other needles too, especially like if you use a needle for a compass or something like that. So you can store multiple items in here, mostly of needle types. But it comes with a straight and a crooked. I purchased at Hobby Lobby. This is where I got this. I purchased several other needles of smaller size, even though my eyesight will not let me anymore. I'm going blind, okay? So this year I was actually declared legally blind by the optometrist group of people that know everything, even though I don't think they did the actual eye exam worth the flip. And I'm going to say my last pair of glasses were way better because, well, they did work. And I just don't think I need a second opinion on that. But as far as this item goes, you can store your thread in here. And like I said, it stores different kinds. And you have your needles in here. It comes with two, I believe, once you purchase it, it comes with threading, which is this. You can purchase extra needles. You can also purchase the threading, or you can make your own threading. And that's why I wanted to let you know about this. Is a pretty good, in fact, one of my standard tools that I carry as tools of the trade for being, the little gnome, the Roman nomad guy that I am. If you're going to carry something that's kind of a multi-tool, and storing, especially threading, it holds a pretty good amount. Like I said, the bobbins in here, in the back, as you can see, that's a full bobbin, and I didn't really accumulate of how much yardage or footage this holds, but there's enough in there to go fishing with, I'm sure, if you use the right string. You just throw it out there if you want to use it for fishing, but You can also use it to stitch up, you know, your gear, make gearing on the fly. Maybe you need to make a pack. You know, maybe you need to make a haversack. Maybe you need to make a container or a carrying case or something. Maybe you need to stitch actually, you know, the inevitable, ooh, I need to do some surgery. Yeah, it can get that bad. I need to stitch something, but I need a place to store my threading just on the cool, and I know that's probably not very sanitary, but neither is bleeding to death. So, so and so and such and such. But I was just giving a review and a demonstration of how I feel this is a very useful tool to me, and we're going to go over a few ways of actually using this in an applied fashion. I have some military gear that I need. I do first response. I'm an ordained minister, and I actually travel. It doesn't look like I'm doing much, but I do volunteer services, Skywarn, first response, which is volunteer, fire department. I mean, you name it, you ask me, well, within reason, to do certain things, I will help you. But I was ordained to do that. My family founded a lot of, you know, really great military establishments and religious organizations that most people wouldn't even recognize today. They're like, oh, you mean the Red Cross? Yeah. You mean the Marine Corps? Yeah. But I can't speak for everybody that's done some stupid things, you know, with our authorization or ordainment. So I'm not going to take credit for them, but I'm going to let you know exactly what our intentions were when we created those organizations as we go through these series of videos and instructionals. And I'm not professional with the gear, but I know where the gear came from and I know who designed it, and I do use it. But I'm probably not the best out of it. But I am going to go over, you know, some simple items and some, like I said, simple carry-on or simple carry items with you to help you, you know, in your endeavors, you know, at home, or you know, if something really does happen, what would I grab in a minute's notice? Well, I have cordage already in here. I have needles already in here. You know, and like I said, it's a multi-tool. There's other things you can do with this. You know, it has fishing line in there. You can actually, this is wide enough with the chuck to actually commandeer a small piece of probably about 18 to 16 gauge wire and loop it on the end and use it as a casting. You know, if you have to fish in a pinch, or a crawdad fishing, as we say, you need some of that mud bug. But anyhow, I was just chilling out for a minute. I went and got different kinds of twine, and in the previous video we had yesterday, you know I'm repairing my marine assault pack. You know, I found several of them brand new, but because the merchants are, I won't get into that because I don't want to waste your time, but the items are already paid for. What's happening is we have surplus items coming back because of the downsizing of the military, you know, what we call wartime active military, and they're getting a lot of this gear back, and instead of giving it to people that could use it for tools or ministry or things like that, what they do is they auction it off, which is illegal, by the way, but they do it anyway. They're getting away with it because no one's calling them on it because we don't know. I know better. And so what they do is they auction it off in bulk, and they'll damage it on purpose and throw it in the dumpster if they don't think they can make any money off of it or sell it or whatever. And a lot of the items are brand new, but they're damaged because they've deliberately cut them. So what I do is I put them back together and I use them. I have several marine salt packs. I've got army duffel bags, I've got molly packs, you name it, bivy bags, sleep systems, and they damage them. And I'm like, that is the most retarded thing I've ever seen anybody do. And I feel bad about it because a lot of it is founded on institutions that my family have founded. And we have people representing these organizations that really are, I just want to kick them right in the ass, because of their stupidity and their selfishness and their greed. So, anyhow, I'll leave that lecture alone because I'll just get fired up. But I wanted to let everybody know that this is one of the tools of the trade. I consider something that I would use as, well, being a nomad, a haberdasher, a skilled tradesman, somebody that can actually provide a useful skill for their hands, especially if you're in the ministry, because, you know, under the Constitution, a lot of us are ordained ministers, because if you read the preamble of the Constitution, it does ordain. It's an ordainment of ministry. And a lot of folks, to me, I've asked, especially what they call American citizens, have the idea that that gives them the right to do, well, or not to care, or to do whatever they want to, and that's not really what the ordainment was about. The ordainment was authorizing people to be responsible and to be employed, which is a very, seems to be a very common threaded, common threaded of a problem in a lot of the places that I go that are districts of Columbia, by the way. Because not everybody that lives in the North American continent or United States of American citizens. I'm not a United States of American citizen. I'm not considered a citizen. I don't live in the city. Nobody on my family side had anything to do with the American culture, except for we are basically, most of the time we're called the principals or the heirs, or we're the, I don't know what you want to call it, I guess the non-nationality or the non-labelist. We don't have labels. We didn't do the Amendment 14 thing. We were just like, hey, these are people, we treat them like, you know, they're relatives, they need help, we help them. We don't say, are you eligible or ineligible? Can you show me your number? Let me see some ID. You didn't pay your rent this month. We don't do that, man. So, get it? So again? That seems to be the common threaded theme for the day, sewing. I just thought I'd touch on that a little bit because there's going to be some other stuff coming up where we're going to go over, I have a legit copy of the Constitution in parchment, exactly the way it was written. It's a replica, but it's exactly almost, and it's reduced a little bit because it's 4 pages, you know, we roll it out, a big deal. But I have a replica that's exactly the way it looks, and it was written accordingly. There's 2 other drafts that were written on hemp paper, and a lot of the family that helped to establish and write this, they didn't sign it. Not everybody signed it that helped to formulate this constitutional ordainment. They didn't have to. This was only a gift to the Americans to actually ordain them as ministers. See, we picked people out of certain groups, and they signed it. Once they signed it, that becomes a legitimate contract. Now they are held by contract, by oath, basically, as ordained ministers. And all the signatures on that contract, from the people of the United States to the people of the United States of America, the people that signed it are the ones that are the Americans, or the ordained ministers to the Americans. And so I want to make that clear and straighten this out, because there is a big issue about, hey, wait a minute, when you read the preamble, it sounds like a 2-party check. Yeah, it's the principal to the William. So you had an heir and you had the recipient. You know what I'm saying? It's like an heir. I'm the inheritor of this, the posterity or the post. I'm the guy that's supposed to be doing what my elders tell me. So you're getting this from the hierarchy to, like I said, the nephews. That's just the way it is. They left basically a will and testament to a certain group of people for a certain specific job. And so, in order to perform your job, you need, well, you have a vocation, you have to be supplied, and then you need a location, which is where? Where am I supposed to do this at? You know, so if I'm being ordained and I'm being commissioned or, you know, sent out to do a particular job, I have to be trained, which is vocation. I have to be authorized, licensed. I have to have supplies, and then I have to have my location, which is a district. It could be a ward. It could be, you know, your county. It just depends on, well, like I said, that's what we're going to work on. It's like, well, wait a minute. I'm ordained, or am I not ordained? So you have to figure out, does this apply to me? Does the Constitution apply to you? A lot of people that live here, they're not American citizens, but they're from here and they live here. It doesn't apply to them. That's what I keep trying to tell folks. It's like, look, I don't have to have a social security number to be treated with dignity and respect as a person, a people, a group. A people is a group of folks. You know, we call them folks. So it's going to start sounding country because, well, it is. People. That's more than one person. That's a group. So we, the group, that live in the country, the countrymen, you know, the ministers, because only a minister can ordain someone else as a minister. That's why it's called the ordinance, or they're ordained and authorized. They are the only ones that can authorize or license you to give you permission to do or represent that organization. And when they said ordain, I immediately knew that they were talking about the ministry. That's why most of them were called ministers or ambassadors or diplomats or ambassadors to France or Russia or something like that. So you got to think about this for a minute. It's like, wait a minute, that's a ministry. Maybe that's why they're called administrators. Maybe that's why it's called administration. And if you're putting too much preeminence on defense, and we'll go over that, when they write it, we'll go over that. But like I said, we're going over supplies first. Simple, basic supplies to do our job. I mean, if you don't have your orders correctly, you know, your ordainment, or what am I supposed to be doing in the first place, then the supplies really don't matter, because what am I supposed to be doing with this? What am I supposed to be doing with this? And that's what we need to work on. I might have tools, I might have supplies and resources, and then people get all messed up when they go, or, you know, individuals, or you know, distraught people who, you know, folks I meet, or relatives even including myself, get distraught when you don't know what you're supposed to be doing while you're here on this planet. You know, I think that's a destination. You know, you have navigation, you have supplies, you have the ordainment or the unction, but you're like, you know, where? Location. You know, that's a big deal. You can be at the wrong place at the wrong time. Or dealing with people that it's irrelevant. You know, it's like, wait a minute, I'm not even supposed to be here. And that's key. That's paramount. So we're going to work on, you know, over the next couple of videos, because I have an issue with that too. I'm ordained. You know, I'm an ordained minister, and I keep getting vague answers from education. I keep getting vague answers from religious people. My father was supposed to have been the guy that kind of pushed that, you know, and I was raised predominantly by my grandmother and my mother and all that. So they're pretty much like, well, whatever pays the bills. You know, and I get the same answer from religion as well. You know, religious people who are suffering probably worse than we are. They can't, you know, they want to save the masses, but they can't even feed themselves. So that's what we're going to work on, which is sufficiency. You know, provide for, you know, welfare. Promote the general welfare, I believe, is one of the sayings. Defense wasn't capitalized in the preamble, so I'm going to assume that that's there, but it's not mandatory like a big deal. Everything that was capitalized was important. And some of the other stuff is what we call suggested below the hedging. You know, it's below the line. If it's all capitalized, that means it's important. If I'm going to put a big, you know, something big on it, that means, hey, this is strong emphasis, this is more important. Defense in the preamble is actually in lowercase. The rest of the actual important things that are hierarchy than that are capitalized. So that tells me right off the bat, because I'm from those people and I understand how they read and write, and I understand, you know, the culture and the language. And defense is lowercase, so that means it's down here somewhere. And so we're going to touch on that. But being supplied for a particular job, which is domestic duties. So when you're trying to provide for yourself and your family, we're going to go over, as usual, I've got the klutz thing going. we're going to go over basic tools, basic methods of how you can do this. Like I said, I'm probably not the best expert on this, but I have acquired this tool. It's made in the United States of America. I mean, if you're into that. But if the tool is high quality, it works well for you, and it can provide, a sustainable, repetitive lifestyle of, hey, I need to put some clothes on my back, and, I want something that's long-term, and I can give this to my children if I want to. This is pretty decently made. You can bequeath this, I'm sure. It'll probably have some wear and tear on it, because I've only had this for a couple of years now, and it's starting to get a little older looking with wear. But if you get you get the pretty much the whole point. Another sewing joke, got it? So, I've already demonstrated some of the awl already. And, I hope this helps out a little bit. We have these little, we call fireside chats, or, as I like to call them, moments of beer. I'm not really what you want to call a lush or a drunkard, but I do like the occasional, I'm a common man, I like to drink a beer with the fellas and the ladies, of course. But as we go over this one more time, we're going to show you some several projects that we can do with this to help ourselves. We're probably going to end up taking some of the canvas material from the Army duffel bags that I have found that were torn up and they were ripped. I'm not going to really go into the fact of trying to repair some of them because they're beyond repair. But there's textile material. See, we're going to go into recycling some of the material because it's waterproof, it's high quality grade, it's durable. If we get it right, the right cordage, which is what I opted for, is like I said, you can use... we figured out that we can use paracord. Yes, I know, this is my spaghetti-o moment. But paracord is functional in one of these sewing awls. And you get several strands inside, a 50-foot, 100-foot hank of paracord. Do the math on that. And once you figure out how you can load this up into the awl, you could probably... well, more than likely, I've done it several times, come out with some pretty good work for something that you can use around the house. Like I said, bags, upholstery, redoing a seat, hats, just shoes, you name it. You can do stuff. Tents, canvas material. The only requirement is you have to have the textile garments. You have to have the material. And so, that's another thing. You have to have the material. So when you have all this excess material that people are throwing away and they're high quality, but it's like, there's nothing wrong with stitching it together. There's nothing wrong with stitching that together. Some people have actually had to. That's how we got here. We stitched our chuck wagon canvas together. I wore patched up pants, as long as it works, man. I don't really want to wear pink. But I'm not going to, if I need to put a pink piece of canvas on my tent to keep me through the winter, I will. But I'm not really a big fan of pink. So, but there's a lot of excess material that we have available. And so this is what we're going to probably do. We're going to end up, just doing these little projects and stuff. I wanted to put together a cool little haversack this year. I need one anyway, and I don't want to purchase one because I feel like I'm out of practice, I'm out of touch, and I need to basically get back to some old school skills, and that way I can stay fresh and current, and keep my mind straight, and I feel much better when I've actually made something that is tailored to what I do. When you purchase something, it's somebody else's perspective and their situation, and it doesn't probably work. A lot of the packs that I've actually received or seen purchased or purchased myself, they don't really fulfill my needs of what I need to do. They don't have enough pockets, or they're not waterproof enough, or, they're just not built the way I want to. And I was like, well, you know what? If you want to do something, do it yourself. And that requires getting off your ass. Oh man, do I have to? Get it? There's another joke. Oh man. But without further ado, and I'll quit getting on my goofy rant and rave for 20 minutes. This is a sewing awl. We'll go over this one time real quick. Sewing awl. It's made out of wood. It's got a chuck on one end. Store needles in this side. When you get done, put the needles back in there. Tighten the chuck down. Store your thread in the bobbin in the back. I paid reluctantly, you know, I didn't make this. I wish I would have. I should have, but I didn't know anything about it. I was like, hey, that's a fine, outstanding product. I paid $20 for this. From recycled can money. You know how we do it. We recycle scrap metals and trade services and things like that. So the Federal Reserve notes that I did get came from recycling aluminum products. And then I went down there and I got one of these. But certain Hobby Lobbies, they'll sell everything you need for this. So if you want to do upholstery, seats, packs, everything by hand, you don't have a sewing machine, like me, if you try to negotiate to get an actually hand-powered or foot-powered old-school sewing machine, but the guy that wants to say he's helping the blind wants $100 for it, and all you got's 55, and you want to, you know, be employed, and the guy won't help you, what do? And you need the actual pack, because you got to move around. You can't sit in one spot for too long. You're going to run out of supplies, and you're going to have to get up anyway. That's just the way it is. But I thought I'd cover this before we go into the further parts of repairing the pack. And it's coming along pretty good. The glue is set. The glue is dry on the first phase of repairing this Marine Corps pack that we got. And we'll get into that here in a minute. So, sorry about the long drawn-out lecture. Stick around, be a minute. Let's get over it.